What? Okay, good evening, everybody. I want to welcome everyone to our fourth and final installation of the Living Well series. Again, thank you to everyone who's here. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day and schedule. And for our affiliates and discussion leaders, thank you so much again for coming to share your expertise and your knowledge and input with the group. And for our other participants, again, I want everyone to please feel welcome to share or to ask questions. So if you have questions, and you can just use the chat box function, and I will try to filter them to our discussion leaders. So again, I'm gonna mute everybody at the moment. And you'll be able to unmute yourselves. But just while I go over a couple quick things, most of you have already heard this like 4 times already, so I apologize for that. But just a reminder that this and all other presentations of the Living Well series are being provided for educational and informational purposes. So statements of fact and opinions expressed are those of our individual participants. These discussions are not to be used as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. As a group, Downtown Wellness Berks aims to raise awareness about all of the many supportive habits, helpers, and local practitioners and additional businesses that can aid in the building of your own healthy lifestyle. And I will have our affiliates give quick intros of themselves as we've been doing. Crystal, could you please give a quick intro of yourself and your business?
Sure. Thanks, Courtney.
Sure.
My name is Crystal Kolb-Cabbage. I am a life, career, and leadership coach. The name of my practice is A Sense of Purpose, because I guide professionals in connecting with themselves in a deeper way, overcoming their fears and their insecurities, and basically revamping their lives, both personally and professionally, into something that they find themselves spiritually connected to and deeply fulfilling.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here again. Henrietta, could you please give a little intro of yourself? Got to unmute. You're fine.
At some point I will get this too. So good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all. It's actually a really nice forum to meet up and share information. My name is Henrietta Albin. I'm a doctor of naturopathy. I've been in business for 23 years in private practice in Maryland and here in Reading. My office is in downtown and across from the library, and I basically help people with just about anything and that they feel they need to alter, with a specialization in getting to the core or the base of their fears and emotional issues leading to potential blockages in the physiological body and in their experience. So
great. Thanks again for being here. Leslie, can you please give us a little intro?
Hi, thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Leslie Dowling. My business is East West Functional Training, and I'm a functional nutrition practitioner, Reiki practitioner, and also a personal trainer. But my love is really working with individuals and also the public sector, discussing with groups, gauging lifestyle changes, seeing what interests they have or questions regarding just lifestyle changes in healthy eating, environmental triggers, things that are going on with autoimmune illness with each individual, and I am located in Wyomissing, but I deal with people all over the country. Through my schooling, I have a group of women that we all graduated with that are from all over the world. So we are networking and we're trying to slowly build and integrate our business through COVID.
That's great. That's great. Thanks again for being here, Leslie. Sherry, can you say hello to everyone?
Yeah, yes, hello, everyone. Thank you for having another wonderful group session tonight. My name is Sherry Matthews. My business is called Wellness Potential. I am a registered nurse for over 35 years now, and I went into holistic nursing about 5 years ago, and my practice is based in Muhlenberg, but I also see people from, like, one of my clients is in Arlington area of Washington right now. So anywhere, and usually over Zoom. And I like to work with clients either individually or in groups. My latest passion is energy medicine, and I am a Reiki practitioner, and I love all types of energy medicine, learning new ones all the time. And I like to help people make changes to be healthier, and wherever they are in their journey, help them to get where they want to be.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Marty, do you want to say hello to the group?
Okay. Hi, everybody. I just want to say I own the Farmhouse Kitchen, and our motto is "We serve wellness." But I just want to tell everybody, listening to you and being part of this group and meeting you, seeing you, interacting with you is such an inspiration. And after last week's Zoom call, I was so inspired and so happy to be part of this phenomenal group of people that have come from all different avenues, but everybody seems to be in the same lane, going in the same direction, trying to bring more wellness awareness and through all different types of practices to the Berks County area, which was the intention of Berks County Wellness and our downtown wellness, Berks. And Courtney is just doing such a phenomenal job steering the ship. So I just want to thank everybody for being part of this group and allowing me to be part of this group. And hopefully 2021 is really our great year, a big coming out party for this organization. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you so much, Marty. We owe you thank you too, because you're a big part of this group as well. And it definitely, Farmhouse is where it was born. So I'm excited to see how we can grow and develop this next year. So thank you so much.
Surely.
Whitney, can you please tell the group a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yes, hi everybody. I'm Whitney George. I have a master's degree in human nutrition. I'm a functional nutritionist. I work with a wonderful group of people as a co-owner of Ampersand Integrative Wellness, and we're right on State Hill Road in Wyomissing. We have myself, we have 2 personal trainers, 2 massage therapists, one who's also trained in trauma touch therapy and the other does cupping services. And we also have a mental health therapist, a music therapist, and 2 yoga teachers. And we're growing. We have a grief support group, a grief counselor, And so we do have room for, other like-minded practitioners as well. And we really wanted to bring whole body, mind, and spirit wellness to the area under one roof. And we say ampersand is everything and. So I'm very passionate about nutrition, food as medicine, getting to the root cause of issues and supporting the whole being.
Wonderful. Thank you. You guys are doing a great job over there. Tiffany, can you tell everybody a little bit about your business and how you help people?
Yep. So thank you for having me. It's great to be here again this week. Thank you. So my name is Tiffany Davies. I'm the owner of Embark Herbals. I'm an herbalist. I have a degree in cellular molecular biology and health science too. So I like to incorporate a lot of like the scientific approach to using herbs in natural medicine. I do DNA testing. Well, I guess I should say I have my consultation business. I do one-on-one herbal consultations, and that includes like nutritional recommendations as well as herbs and lifestyle changes, and also getting into some of like the dream body work and things like that too, looking at someone's emotional health, which can be obstacles to healing as well. And then I have the retail apothecary, trying to supply, a lot of these things, people read about them, but we don't really have like a local resource in the area. So I wanted to bring that to the area. I'm originally from Chester County. We've lived here about 3 years now. I'm located in Moton. And then I also have the classes and workshops that I've been doing. I do them with kids. Last year I started with like a homeschool co-op, and I love that. I love working with kids. I also have them for teenagers and adults. So with like the kids and the teenagers, I love it so much because to see them get so excited about it and like this whole world just opens up to them. And that's really what I'm about. And what I want to do is to bring this back into where it's part of everyone's everyday life again, and bringing up this next generation with them growing up, knowing how to use these things is really inspirational to me. And yeah, I'm excited. So I just launched some more of my online classes too. So it includes, I want to give everybody like a hands-on way to like immerse themselves in the world of herbalism while they're learning about it. So it comes with a mailing kit where you can follow along at home and do tea tastings. So you get to taste the herb, and make a home remedy from it, and then seeds to start your own herb garden. So to try to make it more affordable too. So where it's not like, $25 or $65 for this little bottle that lasts you a couple of weeks, but teaching people, you can make this stuff for free. I mean, aside from like, the alcohol or the glycerin you might have to buy if you're making an extract, but for a few dollars worth of dried herbs, you can make enough tincture to last for months. Or growing it yourself is even better, knowing how to forage for it or start your own herb garden. So I wanted to include all of that and make it a lifestyle, not just, herbalism is just, a bottle of lemon balms replacing a bottle of like a pharmaceutical medication. There's so much more to that. So that's really what drives me to teach people about herbalism and to get them excited about it and stuff. So, but yeah.
It's hard not to get excited when we hear you talk about it like that. We love your passion. Thank you so much for being here, Tiffany. I think I got all of our affiliates. Did anyone join that I missed? Crystal, Leslie? I think I got everybody. So tonight, we're going to kind of try to tie all of the previous sessions together a bit. So essentially, the main gist and the whole kind of message we wanted to send across in this series is about creating a healthy lifestyle for ourselves. So each individual is different. Each individual has different priorities and different things that are going on in their life. And really what we want to express is just how important it is to build upon these healthy habits. Oh, who did I miss? Kristen. Kristen.
Courtney, I'm not an affiliate.
I know. You can introduce yourself if you want. Because you are in the field, if you want to say, go ahead. If you want to talk
I'm
about.
Kristen Good. I own Burke Smile Spot. I'm also a registered dental hygienist, a certified school dental hygienist. And I do myofunctional therapy, which deals with making sure the tongue is resting on the roof of the mouth properly.
Cool. Thanks for being here again. And thanks for your kind words at the beginning of the session. I appreciate that. So essentially, prevention should be a way of life. When we're talking about working every day to just have habits that are in place that help us to be resilient against all the forces of evil in the form of sickness that are all around us. So tonight I thought we could just kind of go over some of the main pieces of that pie again. So when it comes to immune system building, boosting, and strengthening, so building that resiliency and fortifying ourselves from the inside out. So the question we want to answer today is kind of go through a checklist of what can we do in our day-to-day life to stack the odds in our favor as far as building resilience and not getting sick and working to just feel good and energized every day. So anyone wants to start with their number one? I mean, our list, we have a list and we can just move through it. So did anyone want to start with kind of what's the number one tip?
I have something.
Sure, go ahead, Leslie.
Well, I think it's paramount because of COVID that we keep our immune system built up. So simple things like, sleep. Are you getting enough sleep every night? Are you drinking enough water to flush out your system? Are you also getting enough vitamin D? Because the functional norm would be 60, around 60. I think when you go to the doctors, they tell you 30 is okay. That's great. That should be fine. But that's not at a level that we see as really sustaining and building up your immune system. Also, zinc, magnesium, which we are very depleted in our soil. We need to bring that back through food, through supplementation, digestive enzymes, and probiotics. And those are the things, my go-to right now for my family, for my clients, especially just trying to keep safe through COVID and keeping your system really built up. So.
Awesome. Anybody want to add to kind of your number one? I know we have talked about some of these supplements before, if anyone wants to chime in on them or something connected. Go ahead, Whitney.
I was just going to say, we honed in on some of the nutrients, and the first session we talked about blood sugar. So things that we should also avoid, not just bring in, but what to avoid. Refined sugar and processed flour and things deplete immune function. They actually lower white blood cell ability to fight infection. So I think that one's very important. And we always see higher infection rates when we have less sunlight, less vitamin D, going into winter, and lots of sugar around the holidays, and alcohol. So alcohol is another one that's an immune suppressant. And obviously sadness, like depression, anger, some real negative thoughts, if we carry those with us all the time, or chronic stress, cortisol is going to lower immune function and our ability to fight or cause not so harmful microbes to become pathogenic in our own system. So like Leslie said, we like to support and build up the host and build resiliency that we can coexist with microbes. Diet would be my biggest thing, obviously. So we've got to have an anti-inflammatory diet, rich in nutrients, rich in plant foods, 8 cups of vegetables a day, healthy proteins. Protein is very necessary for immune function, healthy fats. And we talked a lot about those foods, but definitely what you're putting in matters, and what you should avoid matters.
Yeah, I have that note here too. What you're not eating is just as important as what you are eating sometimes. So like crowding in that good stuff. I always say one of my hashtags I always use is eat your colors, just
Yeah,
eat
colors, mushrooms, onions, sulfur-rich vegetables for
lots of
supporting.
diversity.
Yeah,
If you have diversity in your diet, then you'll have diversity in your gut, right? So all those microbes will be all different and living together in harmony. Henrietta, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I actually, Whitney, why don't we talk about what constitutes healthy proteins? And everybody obviously can chime in, but we usually say healthy proteins, and then that's where it ends,
Leave it at that.
unless we have someone in front of us. So this would
Yeah, sure. I
Yeah,
mean, we touched on a couple of them, and Buddy Chichinsky was talking about too, like grass-fed free-range animal sources, free-range eggs with the egg yolk that's rich in preformed vitamin A, organ meats that have like liver that have vitamin A, and vitamin C actually a little bit in liver. And then also all of your plant proteins, as long as our guts are in a healthy status, a lot of the lectins and phytic acid and anti-nutrients in seeds and nuts and beans and stuff can sometimes be problematic for certain people. So we work on making them more digestible, sprouting, fermenting, things that traditional cultures have done, soy and stuff like that. We would never see it, many, Asian cultures or cultures that eat soy products eat just soy protein. It's a cultured product. Same with dairy. Any category of people who learned how to eat dairy products, it was always cultured, making it easier digestible, easier to digest, and also helping to break down some problematic compounds like lactose or sugars that are hard to digest in beans and stuff like that. So those can be healthy sources of protein. It depends on the person for all of that. Some people don't do well with too much animal protein either. So we try to suss out the individual approach. And, some people turn to protein powders and things like that. That's not always my go-to because we want to try to promote whole foods as much as possible, as close to nature as possible, living foods. But if we do need to, then the cleanest sources are the least ingredients, and like a raw pumpkin seed protein powder or a pea protein or something like that. But yeah, those would be mine. And there's protein in vegetables too. Broccoli is a decent source, and your nuts and seeds and stuff like that.
Thank you for that clarification. That is always really important. And yeah, I think everyone's so different. And again, it's that listening to your body with the digestion and how you feel after you eat certain foods, and paying attention to that is really important. So, and some of the things you talked about are even becoming more popular that you can even get a hold of. I know it's always, if we did every single thing on our own at home, like we wouldn't have time to do anything else. But like I've even seen some sprouted seeds and nuts, and they even had the other day I have one here in my cupboard. It was like a sprouted lentils with rice mix. So like they're available. So just look out for them when you're in the grocery store, in the nut and seed and like in the bulk areas. You might be able to find some stuff. You'd probably be surprised. That's great. Does anyone want to add to the eating piece of the pie or the food piece of the pie?
Yeah, I think what I had to find out when I discovered that gluten really doesn't agree with me. I'm not per se intolerant, but I think after decades of sinning, if you will, I came across bean pasta, things that are made from vegetables, from different beans. For example, one of my favorites is, oh, good. I just forgot what they're called. I think Asia House or something like that. This is a bean pasta made from mung beans and edamame. And it's a fettuccine, and it's really, really nice. It's just as good with a bit of garlic and olive oil in its own flavor. And by virtue of processing the beans, the phytin that Whitney referred, which is an enzyme that protects a seed from being sprouted where it's not supposed to. Hence the squirrels with their oak nuts, you know, they serve nature so that it can sprout. Anyone who's got a garden under an oak tree knows exactly what I'm talking about. So all of these things that are replacements are good as well. There is one that is made from non-GMO corn and quinoa. To me, that goes into the starch area again, into the carbs. So I kind of stick to proteins, maybe once every couple of weeks. That's how I have it. And you can make it in any which way. That pasta is also black bean pasta, and there's a bunch of others. You have to see which ones you like. What I'd like to say also is, Whitney, you listed just about 150% of everything that we need to, you can cram into this call, which is great. At the same time, I want to actually make a plug for when we buy organic, you know, we tell our clients, get organic or locally sourced when we talk about produce. But what about all that stuff you find in the grocery aisle of the organic section? Oh my God. I mean, the freezer is full of processed organic food. So be real careful. I mean, Whitney, you mentioned that the fewer ingredients, the better. I call this direct food, right? How long ago was it picked? So eat in season, choose foods that are minimally processed, if at all, and find your menu through that. Yes, it takes some practice, but that's what we're all here for. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with posting to Courtney a question about how do we cook this, or do we have a recipe for that? I mean, ultimately, we are a whole group of resource. So each of us has ideas, right? I mean, we all are on some level foodies because we love tasty food. So why wouldn't we share our recipes? So maybe we can start something like this, you know, a couple of recipes a month or something.
Yeah, that would be great. I
A
love it.
newsletter or something too. Yeah, that could work.
No, that was a good point, though. It's very easy to fall into those pitfalls of marketing. So just because it's organic or just because it's gluten free doesn't mean it's healthy. So you just got to watch out for that. Like, obviously, especially in the grocery store. If it's something that's in a box or has an ingredient list, check it. Look at it. Kind of, you know, you got to be a little picky, especially when you're shopping for yourself and your family, and you're wanting to make the smartest and most beneficial choices for your bodies. So that's great. Let's see. So we talked, I mean, we could talk about food all day, but I wanted to get into a couple things that we might not have gotten into.
Brittany, I could talk about the cleaning chemicals and
That,
stuff.
yep, that's one of my
yeah,
check marks is like our environmental toxins. So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Like what's in our homes that we're kind of unaware of at times. So yeah, cleaning products, self-care products. So go ahead if you want to start on that, please, Tiffany.
Okay, so before I launched Embark Herbals, I've had a green cleaning company for 20 years. I started it back in 2000 when I was like 19, 20 years old. And this was before the time of the internet and all that. So I used to do a lot of like Green Kids Healthy Day at the YMCA and just farmers markets, and take a binder of the material medica, I'm sorry, wrong word, of the material safety data sheets with me to show people like, oh, what are you using in your house? Oh, scrubbing bubbles. Okay, let's look that up, you know, and see what's in there. And show, you know, a lot of these things, and like, oh, like the plugins, the Glade plugins, you're like spraying chemicals all around your house. And a lot of these things are like endocrine disruptors and carcinogens and cause birth defects and fertility issues, and the list just goes on. It's like everything imaginable. And I know it's a little bit more, you know, well known now. There's, you know, even the cleaning products. I use a product line that I get from Seattle, Washington, from BioClean. It's actually plant-based. It's not the same as like Johnson & Johnson's green Windex, you know. And like they use the volcanic ash from Mount St. Helen as like the scrub, like to make it like a soft scrub product. So that's really great. But yeah, just to really be aware. Indoor air is about 80 to 90% more polluted than outdoor air, especially now that, you know, our houses are so, like, the windows, just there's no fresh air getting in. And remember to change your filters and your air vents, you know, and also just try to minimize, just be aware of what you're actually spraying in the house or what you're cleaning with. You know, you can, if you can, well, the microwave's not good to begin with, but, you know, let's say you're cleaning your bathtub with these harsh chemicals or cleaning your microwave, and then you're getting those residues, you know, you're breathing it in from the steam, it's kind of being nuked into your food. And then herbs play a part in this. There's a lot of herbs that can help you to detox. So it's inevitable that we're going to be exposed to some of these things, just, you know, despite our best efforts. And that's, you know, herbs can play a role in helping us to chelate those heavy metals that are getting into our systems, or like the plastics. You know, try not to use plastic bottles, but sometimes it's inevitable. Different things like apple pectin or bacopa, milk thistle, moringa, those are all things that can help to chelate heavy metals and help our bodies detox and carry those toxins, those endotoxins, out of our system. The chlorella and the charcoal, psyllium, things like that. So yeah, just wanted to touch on that angle a little bit and bring that stuff up, as like, one, to be aware. And, you know, you're, as a consumer, you can vote with your pocketbook on, you know, what they're going to keep producing and what we're going to demand from the products that we have to choose from at the grocery store. So I think that's really important. I've always been big on advocacy too, of like trying to spread this knowledge to others too. And I think everyone in this group is in a great position to be able to do that, you know, even if it's just like a worksheet, a handout that you give to all of your clients, just to make them aware, even if that's not what they're kind of coming in for. Because I think it's, you know, it makes me sad that these companies produce these things that are harming us and harming our environment, harming our water supply. And, you know, it all leads to, you know, harming the fish and everything else, to where it's so hard to get pure food. And a lot of it starts with all these consumer products. And, you know, they're going to make what they're going to make because they're making money off of it and it's profitable. But like I said, I feel like if we spread that awareness about this topic and we start choosing that we're not going to support that by, you know, purchasing those things, that hopefully we can shift the tides and just, you know, create this better world all around in the future, to where we don't have these plastics and all these chemicals just junking our world up and our bodies and our food supply.
It's kind of like that immediate environment that we have on our home, and then that just ripples out. So all of the junk that we have that we don't use, or that we put down the drain, or that we throw out, it all adds up and kind of just
I think that,
degrades everything.
yeah, I think that's a big reason why we see so many of these chronic health conditions that we see nowadays, even when we do everything right. You know, I think a lot of it has to do with these synthetic man-made chemicals. And, you know, in the vaccines and the plastics and in the Glade air fresheners and the Febreze, and in the, you know, the additives that they put in our clothes and all of that stuff. So it's like, well, what can we do about it? What's still safe to buy? And can we afford those things? And so that's sort of where, you know, herbs and different foods can come in, that can at least help our body, help our liver, protect our liver while it's doing its job of trying to detox from all of those things that we're exposed to. And we can, you know, help it and to assist that, to, you know, where, you know, kind of like where you just can't do anything anymore about, there's no place I think we can live right now that's really pure anymore. So
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
easy to get overwhelmed because there's a lot. So, and this is not the kind of thing that happens overnight. This is the kind of thing that awareness is first. And then, like, as you see products that you use, maybe once over, you're like, oh, well, next time I need this type of product, maybe I can replace it with something that's not so harsh, or something, you know, locally produced that, you know, even or just using like vinegar and essential oils to like clean your countertops instead of something. Leslie, I know this is an area that you talk about a lot with environmental toxins, and you mentioned even like, what are you sleeping on, like as far as your mattress? And so, do you want to take the ball on this topic?
Sure. So we invested a year ago on organic mattresses for everybody, because we all have issues with dust mites, and we ripped up all the area, the carpets, and we have now eco-friendly, like green flooring throughout our house, bamboo, and our allergies are like at bay now. And just think about all the chemicals that are put in your mattresses. So when you're sleeping 6 hours a night, 8 hours a night, that accumulates in your system. And there are toxins and things that they put in the chemicals for the fabrics and for it to be, waterproof and whatnot. So just be your own advocate and, start with the grocery store, looking at the boxes, seeing what's in there. I always tell everybody, just eat what Mother Earth produced. Try to start doing a little prep work, start enjoying time to prep for your vegetables, listen to an app, listen to like a podcast or something during that time. But, piggyback it to the things that are in environmentally that you're breathing in. There's something called xenoestrogens, and I am my own, I like to be a guinea pig for anything that I'm going to provide to my clients. And right now I'm doing a 3-week anti-inflammatory and just cleansing, detoxing myself, eating a lot of anti-inflammatory things that will just make me just more, mind, body, peace, balance, just restored energy, feeling great when I wake up in the morning. Because all of the things that we are fighting with, like you said, this is something that we have to deal with in this new world we're in. It's not like 50 years ago where we were dodging the ball. So we're always slammed with so many things, with the EMFs, the 5G towers going up. I tell my kids to unplug everything at night. Don't leave your laptop, your phone next to yourself when you go to sleep at night. There's a lot of things you could do to cut down on the EMFs. Also, if you're into crystals, rocks, there's certain crystals that you could put around your house that will help keep this at bay. And then you guys mentioned something also, and I'm trying to think of what it was like a week ago about certain things we could do. Dry brushing is a great detoxing agent, of just dry brushing your body in the morning or before you take a shower. And that helps with your adrenals and your system. So, start listening to more podcasts, educating yourself. There's a lot out there now. Ask Google questions. And that's a great place to start.
Oh, Tiffany said saunas. Oh, and Beth was asking, do you guys mind giving some good examples of anti-inflammatory foods? Yeah, turmeric's great, Tiffany said. Oh, Epsom salt baths. That's a good one, Whitney. For like, and that helps with stress too.
Mostly.
And you can get, I know I have magnesium flakes that you can put you can either do, like, if you're not a big bath fan, sometimes I just do foot soaks. Then you don't have to like get like your whole body wet and be cold and all that stuff. Not everyone loves baths. I always find them a little actually having the opposite effect for me. So, but a nice foot bath is nice. But anyway, Beth was asking for some specific anti-inflammatory foods. If you guys don't mind giving some of your favorite anti-inflammatory food examples. I know for me, one of the big ones is I don't eat a lot of animal protein, but I do love a good piece of salmon every now and again. And I know that's on the list with all the omega-3s, and it's a good option if you do eat meat a little bit. Pretty much anything that's good for you, really, right? Whitney, anything
That's
vegetables.
lots of veggies, colors of the rainbow. When you have different colors like your purples, reds, yellows, oranges, that means that there's different phytonutrients in there, anti-inflammatory nutrients usually. Things like cacao, turmeric was mentioned, garlic. Some of the herbs are really powerful cooking
Fresh
herbs
herbs are
that are
great, yeah.
anti-inflammatory. Rosemary is anti-inflammatory. Thyme, even cilantro, parsley, cloves, a lot of nutmeg, using spices and herbs.
Those warming herbs, yeah, that
Yeah.
Ayurvedic stuff.
And then mushrooms, especially Asian mushrooms like shiitake,
Shiitakes.
maitake, turkey tail, like those are all immune supportive too, and can be anti-inflammatory. Your cruciferous vegetables are some of your powerhouses like kale and broccoli, cabbage, purple cabbage. I always try to, mix it up with different colors. If I get carrots, I get rainbow, stuff like that. So,
but still give your regular cauliflower love, because it's still really good, even though
that
it's
one
white.
gets a lot of love.
Yes, it's one of the few that it kind
White
of breaks
foods
that
are
white
good
rule.
too. Yeah, white,
there can be some good ones. Turnips are good.
Turnips, cauliflower, onions, garlic. Your whites and tans are not bad, guys. Mushrooms.
Oh yes,
just when they're processed flour.
Yes, exactly. I know. And mushrooms should get more love. I agree. And I actually like the taste of the Asian mushrooms much better.
Reishi, maitake.
Yes.
Other, just real quick, like I know I already said herbs, so tea would fall in that category too, like green tea, white tea, oolong tea. I love
sarsaparilla. Tiffany says sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla.
Not the soda though.
Not with sugar, yeah.
No. No, that's so great. Tiffany, did you have anything to add as far as the herbs and teas go? I know that's your area expertise. Favorite, hold on. She's saying something that's a long, everybody has a long list of stuff in the chat. Tiffany, you're muted. Do you have lots of stuff going on in your background?
Yeah, the kids. What was I saying? Some of my favorite, the turmeric, the sarsaparilla, the reishi, and the amla too is a great triple restorative. So I know after I had my Lyme disease, I had very bad Lyme disease, like fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, all types of pretty much every symptom. And one of the last things was inflammation, like around my face, under my chin. And nothing that I tried worked until I did amla. It got rid of that last little bit of like inflammation, not like systemic and stuff, but like local inflammation, and just remedy that. So that was one of my favorite. And sarsaparilla was definitely.
What can you talk about amla? What exactly is that? Is that a root? Is that an herb, or is that?
The amla, the fruit, it's triple restorative in Ayurvedic medicine. And it's just very nutritious. So triple restoratives are things like when you're very, very depleted, like after, like with Lyme disease, like having like a 3-year battle with Lyme disease. It just is it's very nutritious, and it restored like the deeper inner stores of immune system and like hair and skin. Just kind of like yin, like nourishing the yin tonics, all those fluids and things like that. So I mean, it was like it's interesting to go through something like that, where I've always been relatively healthy since I've been doing some of this stuff since I was 14 years old, like doing yoga and all that. Never studied it, but never really was sick to the point where I had to use some of these herbs myself, like I was with Lyme. And to just see, like, it's amazing, like, try all these other herbs. And it was like done in stages of rebuilding my system, from the nerve damage that was done, the fascia damage that was done. And then, that last little bit was just nourishing all that depletion that having such a chronic illness had caused. And that's one where I can say, like, the amla was just amazing. It was like, I'm like, okay, I tried all these things, I'm feeling better, but like I'm doing everything else right. And that's where I believe, like, why I just love herbs so much. It's because you're eating everything right, you're drinking all this water, but you're still dehydrated. You're still just, not fully back to yourself, like pre-chronic disease. And then these herbs come in and they just work their magic. I mean, it's things beyond what, just like food and nutrition. I don't know how else I can explain it. It's
Next level stuff. Next level
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, like just nourishing on this deeper level where, it does get to about like, where they're imparting their essence into us. And there's things I think that our body needs besides just, the nourishment from foods. And I mean, I could get into a whole sort of like esoteric, Cherokee myth about how these herbal allies came to help us and why we have them as medicine. But
it is sad that we've become so disconnected, and it's so overwhelming sometimes. There's so much to learn. I mean, in general, let alone when you just go into herbalism and all that's, in our backyard and stuff that we think about as weeds that we could just use. It's crazy. And there's a lot of really good conversation going on here in the chat too. Henrietta mentioned about leeks, artichokes, jicama. So things that are high in inulin, which is a kind of fiber that's really great for our gut. So, building our gut is going to help no matter what, which is great. And then Whitney said something else really good and I wanted to touch on it. Sometimes fasting, like just giving your digestion a rest can be really, really beneficial sometimes. And just doing like a little juice and water for a little while can help just give your digestion a rest. Because if you're not putting anything in that's disparaging, then your body doesn't have to deal with it for a little while. Do you guys want to say anything else about the fasting or juicing?
Yeah, I just wanted to get to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hydration is the single most important thing, right? I mean, we got started with that, and hydration is the crux of it, because if in fact we are 75% water, which is a high level at the current state, which most of us are not, when you autopsy people and they do the water measure after they're dead in an autopsy, and they actually find that pathologically we're down to about 50, maybe 60% if we're lucky. So while the dying process itself is a dehydration of sorts, as you notice that people get wrinklier as they get older, and things get, it's almost like the tissues get tired, cannot feel that they hold enough fluids anymore. So it's really, really important to be well hydrated. And that hydration does not just have to be water, but what I would always suggest is that everyone start their day, and you can alternate. You can do apple cider vinegar according to the directions on the bottle, with 8 ounces of water to flush your system when you wake up, because the toxins that are getting released overnight is from the waste of the digestive tract and the restoration and rejuvenation and all of that goes on invisibly, that we don't actually have to deal with. And in the morning, you want your urine to get clear. So ideally, you don't eat first thing. You don't have coffee first thing. You go ahead and you have either lemon juice in water, apple cider vinegar in water, clear water. And please, folks, make it room temperature. When we eat ice cold or drink ice cold water, I was with a client yesterday, and this was I didn't know what she had in her cup, and so she shakes it, and I said, wow, what's that? And she says, it's dry ice with a bit of water. And I'm going like, oh my gosh. I was ready to throw up. I was thinking of my liver, right? I mean, when you eat ice cold things, it's incredibly hard on our liver, because our system has to wake it up. And when you consider something that is ice, which is probably around 35, maybe 38 degrees, okay, we keep our fridge is at 40 degrees. That is actually, according to fruit growers, the ideal way where we can keep fruit and vegetables without freezing it and thawing it when we take it out. So 40 degrees is enough. When you think that you have to, on average, we're 98 degrees or 97, whatever, you have to heat up your system by over 50 degrees just to drink that water, to have that ice. It's just too much. It's very chilling for the liver. So that's one thing, the hydration. The other piece is fasting is not that difficult if you keep hydrating. when you get headaches or when things are going on and you have any kind of like breakout or you feel super tired, go to sleep, rest. When you first try it, when I said the 36 hours in the chat, it means that you have a very light dinner and then you eat nothing for 24 hours until the following morning for breakfast. And you can start with fruit if you like, but mostly start with water again. Do the lemon juice. Lemon juice is alkalizing, even though it feels acidic when we drink it, okay? Apple cider vinegar also alkalizing and cleansing. So ideally, before you have anything to eat, you really want to flush your kidneys, your system, so the water is clear before you start eating. That way you know that system has been alkalized and has actually been hydrated.
Thank you. Whitney, did you have anything to add to that?
Just a little bit on the magic of fasting is really our bodies are, if you think about our ancestry, we would have been going through periodic fasting and famines and things way more often than we ever have, which fortunately we haven't experienced, but it's also to our demise. So if we can get our bodies using fat as fuel, getting into ketosis every once in a while, extending fasting, we know that it can actually shrink tumors. They're showing longevity. UC Davis, University of California, Davis has a longevity institute, and one of the biggest things that they've studied and continue to study is fasting for extending the lifespan of all organisms they've studied so far, from single cell all the way up to chimpanzees. They can extend the lifespan of the organism with using periodic fasts. And so the same they're using for cancer research, tumors, shrinking tumors, especially CNS, like brain tumors, and utilizing fasting protocols along with some chemotherapeutics or nutrition and things can be very powerful. But if you ever try to do an extended fast, you should be working with a professional and have, you know, your physician's clearance on that and everything. But anybody can really do time restricted feeding, which is extending your fast every day. So we fast every night when we go to sleep. And some people get up, like Henriette said, and they eat right away or they drink right away, and their blood sugar's already high in the morning because the liver was making sugar while they slept. And you don't really want to shove more stuff in there. So giving it 12 to 14 hours is usually really good for women to make sure. So if we stopped eating at 7 o'clock the night before, we want to wait until maybe 9 a.m. the next day, or at least 7 a.m. And start with a higher fat, higher protein after you've had your water. Keep yourself in more of a fasting state. We know that people who want to lose weight, they've studied different groups of people where they'll put them on the same calorie breakfasts, where one group will be high fat, high protein and no carb. The other will be the normal carb breakfast that Americans eat, like the toast and the waffles and the cereal. And the group just not changing any calories, but the group doing the higher fat, higher protein breakfast loses more weight. Their insulin markers and glucose markers actually get better and show more sensitivity, and they keep the weight off longer. So we don't really want to be in this pro-growth, high blood sugar state all the time. We want to take some time to be in a resting mode, a fasting mode. That's when our body does a lot of cleaning. So they'll call it autophagy, like when your body will go through and clear dead cells or cells that are damaged or mutated. Because every day we have some mutated cells or damaged cells, and that will eventually turn into cancer or other chronic illness. So autophagy is something that fasting triggers, and our body goes to work and cleans up all that debris. And so that would be very good for all of us to do that periodically.
Yeah, that's the easiest place to start, right? Is just having our last meal of the day earlier in the evening, and then having our first meal of the day later in the day. So it's like, it's not that overwhelming then when you think of it that way. And it's a lot of times we just eat when we eat because of habit. It's not even sometimes that we're hungry. So just keeping that in mind too, of like, well, are you hungry when you wake up? Are you ravenous? Maybe you're just dehydrated. Like, so try that first. That's great. That's great. And thank you, Henrietta, for that resource in the chat. That's awesome. I know we always keep coming back to the food, which is totally fine. We can bounce around. It really doesn't matter much. But I did want to go back a little bit to environmental stuff. We talked a little bit about the bed, and I know Leslie talked a little bit about kind of some of the, even the materials you use in your home. But can anyone talk a little bit to some of the, we talked a little bit about air quality, but I know I've known some people that have had really big issues with mold in their home as an environmental toxin. Can anyone speak on that?
Yeah, mold. And so years ago when I studied phase contrast or dark field microscopy, there was a man from Germany, Professor Enderlein. I mean, he didn't teach me, he's quite dead. He's older. He was older
Quite dead, quite dead.
Sorry. But what was found out is that the particles of heavy metals, the particles of mold, the particles of all these environmental inorganic, I want to say, even the inorganic substances, the particles actually combine with pathogenic organisms. And what has now been discovered recently, what is more commonly known as a biofilm, is that those organisms, in their desire to protect themselves, have found this incredibly clever way of, you can't get me because I'm here. The biofilm is almost, imagine a mucous membrane as a bubble, right? Like a soap bubble, and they're all feeling in there and they're going like, haha, we can survive. Now, having said that, they can mutate into different organisms, and our friendly bacteria doesn't actually attack them either. So for those that are products like biocidin, there's actually something that breaks through, and both on the herbal part, also in the annals of heavy metal detoxing, have substances that work with this. One of them is also cistus tea, so CISTUS. And of course, there is zinc helps a bit. There is chlorella, the super blue green algae, which are single cell organisms, which can actually get in there too and help detox. The most important piece in the environmental toxins is there are different ways for them to get into the body. And the most common that we know is through our air passages. Right. So our nasal, and this is what I've been saying when people ask me, why don't you wear a mask? I said, I have a nose and I keep my mouth shut, because my nose, all of our noses have these tiny little cilia, they're called. They're tiny little hairs that basically keep the stuff out of our nose that is not meant for us. And that is when we sneeze. Same thing when we breathe things in. This is when we cough, right? This is an exhale. It's a forced exhale. And I had a nice meeting with Kristen yesterday morning, and it was fantastic when we talked about, all the progression in the tongue and tongue situational process, or the growing of it. That was like so amazing to me, how that has deformed so many people, and what is being found more and more. And I think at some point we should really do at least 10 minutes on this, where you just tell us how this actually works. Maybe you can do a presentation, Christian, because what you showed me on your computer was absolutely phenomenal. And Whitney, I know you'd be totally interested in this, because it is, I mean, it's right up your alley, right? Nutrition and food and all that. So anyway, breathing things in is we are protected from that. When we break the skin through injections, through, yes, vaccinations, when we inject substances into our body, however that happens, that is an environmental invasive, what do we call this? It's an invasion. It's an invasive violation, if you will, because the body is not meant to deal with that. And so that's where we see all those violent reactions. Air quality, there are lots of good air purifiers. I think we're almost at the point where everyone needs one. You have to figure out how sensitive you are. When my son was little and I would travel with him, we had to find the oldest hotel room or motel room that had not been shampooed because of the formaldehyde, that didn't have new carpet because of the formaldehyde and the other preservatives. And so I wanted to say earlier when we talked about what the environmental toxins all contained, and when Tiffany was talking about air cleaning materials, that it really doesn't matter what it is. We are assaulted, we are exposed to it in air-conditioned buildings or hotels where you cannot open the window, or in airplanes, and they're getting a bit better now because of this virus story, but 30% of fresh air only every 24 hours. So you see how New York was so affected by it, if that was in fact true. You see how large accumulations of people are much more affected by this. So when you have poor air quality, you also happen to have other allergies. You do not drink enough water, and you are on an inflammatory diet with processed foods. I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? I mean, just looking at what we know about this, not so much what the body does with it, but how the body is like onslaughted with it constantly.
It piles up, right? It just keeps
Piles
piling
up
up in
awfully.
compounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Whitney also mentioned water filtration systems too.
Yeah.
And I know, you can start simple with a Brita filter. There's reverse osmosis. Like there's a big spectrum of things that you can do to start things. Go ahead, Henrietta.
Just one more thing. Shower heads, yes, you cannot get some of the chemicals if you are not on your very own water out of your system. So there are systems called structured water systems. Structured water, how do I explain this? It actually acts on the energy of the water, not the content of the water. And since we are energy and everything is energy around us, no matter what it is, structured water is in essence the water that runs down creeks and across stones and splashes and splishes and basically just moves a lot and falls and is aerated and all that. That's referred to as structured water. When we do this, we buy units that you can screw into your shower top, or you can put it into a house system. And what they do, there are little ceramic balls inside, so they kind of simulate the structuring of the water as it happens in nature. They did studies in California. I think it may have been U of Davis as well, because they do a lot of agricultural stuff up there, where they tested structured water hosing of strawberry fields, in this case, and beds, and then some on the side did just conventional watering, and the strawberries grew longer, were larger, were sweeter. And so again, it's the power of water. So we're back to where we started, right, with hydration and how important that is.
Well, that's really fascinating. I wrote that one down. Structured water. I wonder if it has something to do with like ionization, like just the oxygenation of the water, or just it moving around, like that energy. It's really interesting.
Well, it has something to do with that, but it's actually more.
Yeah.
And if none of you have seen it, I really recommend, for a greater understanding of this, I recommend that you find David Wolf's film called Iceland. It's just called Iceland, and it's David Wolf is a raw foodie. He's amazing. David Avocado Wolf, as he calls himself, and you can rent it for 3 days for $11. It espouses all the qualities of a spiritual and a natural life they might want, and it plays in Iceland, so it's great stuff about water too.
It's an amazing place. We honeymooned there. It's fantastic. Leslie mentioned about the fluoride in water. There's actually, I just did it the other day, because you can search by your zip code. I'm not going to remember. was it the
0.2%.
environmental working group, I think, and you can search in and it'll tell you all the toxins that are in your water. It'll say how high above the kind of recommended it is, and it also has some resources of about filtration. So again, it's somewhere
Rava
where
will
you
tell you
can
this.
say
The
that again.
local Rava, the Reading
Oh,
Area Water Authority.
yeah, Rawa. They will also, yeah, that's true. You can
But
just,
they will only go, I've tried to get them to reduce but they say, if you tell me how much, the thing with fluoride is that this isn't fluoride, what's in our water, it's hexafluorosilicic acid, which is a byproduct of phosphate and aluminum processing. Okay, so they farmed this out to China. It used to come from Alcoa locally here. I mean, not locally here, but in the States. It's a byproduct that's very hard waste to get rid of. So why not, what better way than to put it in the water? Yeah.
yeah,
So it's lowest than it has ever been according to the EPA as of 2014, and it took them until 2017 to implement that.
to get it that low even. Yeah.
Yes, fluoride alert or fluoride. Yeah, fluoride.not.org. There is a very active. I think fluoride alert. I'll find it and I'll put it there.
Thank you. Thanks. Kristen, like at the beginning of this, did you want to add something? I thought I saw you come up on the screen, so go ahead.
I was gonna say I posted in the link. If you guys ever heard of an air scrubber, it's actually a UV light that you can have your HVAC guys put on your heating system. It goes in the ductwork. My husband does heating and air conditioning, so every time we've had a new house, because we're in house number 4 now, I think, he puts it on every single house. And there's some air scrubbers that it doesn't change the smell, but there's something in, there's like 2 different options, and one changes, have to go ask him real quick what it's called. Hold on, I gotta ask. Ian, what is the smell that the air scrubber puts in?
Ozone.
Thanks, Ian.
There's an option for ozone as well, and
Ozone. Okay.
it changes it a little bit, but you get used to it. I haven't done any research if the ozone is good or bad, but we have the one without right now, and it's amazing how much it filters out of your sorry, my puppy's going crazy. It's amazing how much it filters out from a house with it versus without it. So
Oh, thank you for adding that. That's great. I'm writing this down too. We're going to be moving soon, so I'm like taking notes on everything. So thank you guys.
There was another one too, because we just talked to an HVAC guy. Kristen, maybe I should have your husband come over and give us a quote too. But he had said, I had heard about the UV thing before I asked him, and he said, well, actually, we use something, it's different. It kills the bacterias and pathogens like the UV does, but it also does like this clumping thing. So it makes dust particles clump together so that they're big enough to get trapped into the filter, so that those real like nanoparticles don't get through the filter too.
Cool.
I can bring him down here real quick if you want to ask him. Hold on, let me ask.
Does anybody else have any other household things kind of to keep in mind, just that people could be aware of?
No, I was gonna say too, when I had to step out for a minute because of my son, but I came back, Henrietta was talking about the energy, and I was just thinking about I don't know if anybody's mentioned so far about I mean, I know we say get outside, you get the sunlight and all that, but another thing to think about too is the frequencies, like our exposure. So we have like geomagnetic frequencies and then Schumann frequencies that are coming from like the heavens. And Rudolf Steiner, he was one of the founders of like the Waldorf School and biodynamic farming.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of talks about some of his beliefs and philosophies, but that we need to be exposed to that. And it's, it's not just it's scientifically proven now too, because we've evolved being exposed to certain geomagnetic forces and Schumann frequencies at certain numbers. I forget what they are exactly, but now where we have all these cement boxes that we're living in, really relatively new in human history, that were cut off from those frequencies. We're not getting them. I mean, they've done studies where miners who lived underground that were kind of blocked from those frequencies because of the caves, I guess. And then also astronauts, they even in the spaceships, they synthetically recreate those frequencies for them. Otherwise, it leads to a lot of health issues,
breakdown in the body.
psychological. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's just another additional reason to. And I did in college, I did an independent research study where I optimized the electromagnetic frequencies of plants. This was something that they were doing in the 1800s, but we have like a North Pole and a South Pole with certain directions that we've evolved being used to. And if we can optimize those frequencies, like I did with the plants, it makes the plants grow stronger and larger. When Henry was talking about the strawberries, I was thinking of this. And also increase the secondary metabolites in plants so they produce more, which is the parts that we use for medicine when we do extractions. And just going along with the understanding that everything is energy, that we emit and absorb certain frequencies, that we also, just to take that into consideration also too.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tiffany. Kristen, did you have Ian there? I don't want to hold him up if he came to talk to us.
I'll move my computer.
What?
Here. Okay, so that's my husband, Ian.
Hi.
So Tiffany had a question about, she had an HVAC over talked about an air scrubber, but also talked about something that collects dust better.
It clumps it up. He said it does more than the UV light of just killing pathogens. It also clumps the dust into larger particles so that they can be filtered out by the filter.
By the filter better? Yeah, it's true.
What is it that makes it clump?
Honestly, I don't know the science of it. I just know we've used it in our house and it works. So I've kind of just accepted it.
It's not like chemicals though. It's not like a chemical. It's okay.
No, some
like
of
a
it.
Static thing, maybe it's something that gives the dust particles static.
No, it used to be they would, the filters were positively charged and they would negatively charge all the other dust particles and it would collect that way.
Ionizer.
Yeah, they don't use that technology really anymore. I wish I had a better answer for you. I don't know the science behind it.
You can look into it.
I can look into it. There's research on it. There's papers about it. So I can get that and get it too.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks. Sorry to put you on the spot, Ian. Thanks. Thank you, Kristen.
Hey, I figured use what we have, right?
Right. Yes. Utilize all of your possible assets. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, it looks like Henrietta found a couple things about air scrubbers. So thank you for posting those, Henrietta. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to get to tonight. I mean, we can always also loop back to mental aspect. We didn't really touch a lot about physical movement, and I was hoping that Melissa was going to join us tonight, but I know she said she had something going on with her son and she may not be able to. So it doesn't look like she popped in. Because she was our so I don't know if anyone wants to just talk a little bit about healthy movement. I know we did touch on it, but go ahead, Henrietta.
I actually wanted to ask Crystal because I'd love to include you and hear your opinions on it. We haven't actually talked about how food affects the psyche and our moods and all of that. So I guess you would be a good one to talk. I mean, we all know this as far as physiological, is concerned, like what helps what. But how do you see it from your vantage point? If you get someone who is either on a high inflammatory diet and is always, or has high blood pressure, or someone who is not processing their food properly, they may like bitter or sour or afraid, or have you noticed any correlation on that level?
I personally believe everything in the universe is symbolic and everything correlates. So, for example, if we put crap in our bodies, we feel like crap. If we put putting crap in our bodies from a food perspective, we're probably putting crap in our bodies from a mental health perspective as well, that we have these patterns that we go through. I'm trying to think of an example. So if we, how I always say how we do anything is how we do everything. If we have certain patterns in the way we eat foods, then we have those same patterns in the way we either work out or don't work out. And we have those same patterns in the way we think and the way we relate to our jobs and the way we relate to others. So for example, if we are overachievers, then we will go out there and we will push and shove and try to fix everything that's broken and heal everybody and help everybody and overdo. Then we're probably going to overdo the workouts. We're going to overdo the way we try to eat. We're going to be too hard on ourselves and then burn out in the long term because we're striving too hard. So that's one end of the way the pendulum can swing. And then the other extreme is those of us that feel just super overwhelmed with life and overwhelmed with everything. And I'm already so burnt out and so tired that we feel that we're underachieving. And then we feel that we feel like everything is bigger than us. Even the smallest problem that we're facing in our life feels hard to deal with. So then we don't feel that we have the time or the energy or the strength to even figure out what to make for dinner, let alone what we should be eating or where we could find the time in our day to go for a walk or to go outside to put together any kind of game plan. So one of the things that I was thinking as I was sitting here listening to everybody's fabulous advice, I know many of us have been on the healing journey for a long time as of our own problems that kind of forced us to face it and create this passion within us. But I think it can be very overwhelming to a lot of people who are hearing this, who already feel so far removed from all the things we're suggesting. It could just be so difficult. So one of the things to highlight that's helpful, I think, is to just really reinforce that concept that our bodies are capable of readjusting, of rebalancing, that we are capable of healing ourselves, and to work on believing in ourselves and our ability to heal and the strength that we have internally within us, to know that our body is on our side and it is always working for us. And even though there's all these things that we could do to make our lifestyle healthier and better, we don't have to jump in all at once and be the best eater or, have the best body or the best mindset. If we could just sit down and really look at ourselves and have the courage to face ourselves and say, what is bothering me most right now? Where can I get the biggest bang for the buck? Do I want to start with my workouts? Do I want to start with working on a pre-existing health condition, on learning to eat better, on reducing my stress, and focus on one area first? And then take everything you can to wrap your mind around what you can be like if you accomplish what you're looking at. So if you want to work on eating better, what would I look like if I ate better? How would I feel if I ate better? How would I talk to my children differently if I ate better? How would I show up at work if I ate better? And get the motivation and the vision and the purpose behind the change you're looking to make. And then just start in super small increments of baby steps. If I'm going to eat better, then I'm not going to cut out anything I'm currently eating, because cutting stuff away is very difficult for us from a psychological perspective. But I'm going to add in something healthy every day until I get used to that. And that becomes a habit after a couple of weeks. And that becomes just like brushing my teeth. Now I eat one extra vegetable a day, and then adding another thing and another thing till you get strong enough to then potentially remove something and do everything in just this iterative, consistent routine where you're sticking with it, baby step after baby step. You're expecting yourself to have resistance. If you hit resistance, that means it's working. If you want, after 3-4 days into whatever you're trying, it doesn't work, you're frustrated, that's good. That means stick with it, because that means you're making change within yourself. So expect the resistance, expect the relapses, but just keep coming back to it baby step after baby step. and stay focused on why you're doing it. Remind yourself of the vision to keep that fresh in your mind. So I think just looking, Henrietta, I don't know if I even answered your question.
That was amazing.
Just taking it all back to, you are on your own side. There's nothing to fight against in this world. It's not a big scary world that we live in, but we can always do better and we can always improve. And it's just baby steps and keeping your eye on why you're doing it. And before you know it, I was at a point where I remember writing in my journal, I wish I was gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, this big laundry list of things. And it may have been a couple of years later when I found that journal entry, and I was, but I didn't do it all at once. It's just slowly, one after another. And once you start feeling better, you will get so inspired to learn more and keep going, and you will not stop.
It's that feel good momentum, right? That's fantastic. Thank you so much. That was great. That was just what we needed to tie everything together. So thank you so much for that, Crystal. And yeah, that was really the point we're throwing a lot at everyone tonight and through this whole series. And yeah, because a lot of us are most of the time living these things. So it is overwhelming if some of these habits aren't in your regimen yet. But that was really fantastic advice, Crystal. Thank you. And so eloquent as always. So we have about 4 minutes till 8. Does anybody have any final thoughts or anything to share here in the last few minutes? Any last words of wisdom for everyone to end this series? Nobody can. No, you did it, Crystal. Well, if nobody has anything to add, then I will thank everyone again so much for being here. That was a fantastic way to end this series.
That's to say something.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Thank you. Thanks, Henrietta. Go ahead, Beth.
Well, some of you know, I wrote this whole thing out because I had this as I got out of the shower. That I'm already a very emotional, I on a regular basis, I'm an emotional person. But I just have to say, this has been so inspiring and helpful on many levels. The knowledge, the coming together, the peace this has given me, the normalcy that it has given me. I mean, I know it's on Zoom, but this has just meant a lot to me. And however we can, I hope we can continue this and I just want to thank Courtney and I want to thank Marty because it all began there. And I'm just thrilled to I can't even my notes, I can't begin to take in all the knowledge you have. And it's just wonderful to know that I have you to reach out to. And I'm sure I will somewhere along the line. I thank you all. It's been wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Beth. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I hope so. I mean, I'm probably going to send out some kind of, post series, little review for everyone, maybe ask some questions about what subjects people want to see more of. Also just tap on all of our wonderful affiliates. And if there's something that you specifically want to talk about, just like Henrietta said, like we want to invite Kristen in and have, we don't have to make them, the long things. We can have them shorter sessions that we'll be able to video and have available for people and post. So, I mean, whatever we think of is how we can take this to the next level. So it just is a matter of what people want to see and what people want to hear about, because we have so much knowledge within this group that we can continue to share. So and I have heard other people, one of our participants she can't join us, but she's like super excited that she's able to watch the videos of the sessions afterwards. So I would love to keep doing this, and I think we have plenty of things to talk about. So we can just hone in and maybe do shorter sessions on specific topics, or just have open forums, whatever you guys want to do. So, I'll make sure I open it to everyone on the email list and online and see what kind of feedback we get back and probably go from there. But again, thank you everyone so much. I'm just so appreciative of the time, and it, like, that kind of feedback is just what makes it worthwhile. So thank you so much to everyone, and we will keep everybody posted on sessions to come, and appreciate your time and input, and everyone furthering this group and our combined effort. So thank you all. Have a wonderful night, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thank you guys so much.